Let's maul in the Central Committee. Let's cringe in the Central Committee. Let's bog in the Central Committee right now.
This just happened, chat. Wow, you're welcome for that incredibly good video. Iran's largest Navy warship sank in the Gulf of Oman Wednesday after firefighters were not able to contain a huge fire which swept through the vessel. The British-built ship was named after the island that serves as the main oil terminal for Iran. Thick, black smoke had been rising from the ship, one of the few vessels in the Iranian Navy capable of providing replenishment at sea for its other ships. So, this is a support ship. Pictures circulated on Iranian social media also showed sailors wearing life jackets evacuating the vessel as fire burned behind them. NBC News was unable to verify the images. The warship, built in Britain and launched in 1977, entered the Iranian Navy in 1984 after lengthy negotiations that followed Iran's 1979 Islamic Revolution. The fire comes after a series of mysterious explosions targeting ships in the region. Israel and Iran have blamed each other for reported attacks on cargo ships since last February, escalating a years-long shadow war in Mideast waters between the two countries. Once again, implore this article. All right, hold on. Israel would risk friction with U.S. over Iran. This was yesterday. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says his country is prepared to risk friction with the United States if it means neutralizing Iran's nuclear ambitions. We gotta get this motherfucker out of office, man. We gotta get this motherfucker out of office. Starting shit with Gaza again didn't work, so now he's going after Iran. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Tuesday he's prepared to risk tension with the U.S. if that's what it takes to neutralize Iran's nuclear capabilities. The embattled premier, whose political future is in question just 11 days out from a bruising war, said Israel's biggest threat remains the possibility of a nuclear-armed Iran. He said Israel is prepared to prevent that from happening, even if the United States and other nations succeed in reinstating the 2015 Iran nuclear accord. If I have to choose, I hope it doesn't happen between friction with our great friend, the United States, and eliminating the existential threat. Eliminating the existential threat wins, Netanyahu says. Are we going to watch the Biden speech? Yeah. We're going to get to that. Don't worry. I'm just talking about the breaking news, which is, Israel sinking Iran's largest warship. I mean, I'm sorry, we don't know. It was an accident, chat. We don't know yet. It was an accident, chat. We don't know yet. Iran has refused to recognize Israel since its Islamic Revolution in 1979 that toppled the U.S.-backed Shah. Oh, man. You know, what's really funny about this, chat, is Americans, they put this sentence in there, and they don't, let me just say, the amount of heavy lifting that's going on in those three words is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Tucker almost said segregation was the best thing to happen to the country. Oh, okay. Wait, is the Lanon conspiracy theories, are we the new left QAnon? Wait, what? Can Israel handle Iran? No. Israel cannot handle Iran. Israel would drag us into a conflict with Iran. That's the plan. That's the plan. Let me see if I can find something to explain to you what this is.
In 1953, the United States, together with Britain, participated in a coup in Iran.
Mossadegh and his government were swept from power in favor of General Zahedi. 300 killed and hundreds wounded is a conservative estimate.
The British government has never officially acknowledged its role in the coup.
I don't think at any time we really planned a coup d'etat.
Liar.
These words have not been heard or seen for over 34 years. Evidence that has the potential to turn a dark chapter in history inside out. Your British counterpart was in fact blank. Could you tell me something about the man blank?
He was somebody who felt that there were things to be said that hadn't been said.
We hit a wall of silence and denial.
How did it come to this?
So they tied him up, strangled him, and shot him.
My father is a real prime minister.
The coup in Iran is shaping politics to this day. The United States does not want democracy.
That's the sort of thing you won't find in any book.
We gotta check that out, chat. Basically, the United States and Great Britain overthrew a secular Iranian government under a guy by the name of Mohammad Mossadegh in 1953 in an operation called Operation Ajax, led by a man named Herbert Roosevelt, related to Teddy Roosevelt. And Mohammad Mossadegh was a secular leftist. You might even call him the Bernie Sanders of Iran. He was not a communist. He was not allied with the Soviet Union. He wanted to take Iranian oil wealth and make Iran a secular, social democratic socialist country, a la what we now see in Norway. And he won an overwhelming election victory. But there was a problem. There's a little company called the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. And the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company had control of all of Iran's oil. And they were stealing it. And they were not paying money to the Iranian people. So they had these huge oil refineries, these huge oil fields, and they were just taking Iran's oil for the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. What's the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company? Does anyone know? It has a new name. In 1954, it was renamed again, the British Petroleum Company. The government of Mohammad Mossadegh nationalized the company's local infrastructure assets and gave the company the new name, the National Iranian Oil Company. The British waged a trade war with Iran rather than pay Iran's new prices. The arrangement since 1901 had been that Iran got only 16% of the profits. And with the United States CIA arranged a military coup to depose Mossadegh and install a regime more favorable to the UK. We love democracy. Oh, you guys are so you lefties always say we're doing blood for oil. Oh, what are you talking about? Oh, wait, what? BP literally overthrew a secular left-wing government so they could take Iran's oil? So they'll say the US backed Shah. What they really mean is the government, the right-wing monarchy we forced into place with the CIA and British cooperation to overthrow the flourishing democracy in Iran so we could steal their fucking oil. So we built a monarchy trying to copy what we did in Saudi Arabia. And what do you fucking know? There was a revolution after 20 years of brutal right-wing secret police fascism and the targeting of trade unionists and run-of-the-mill leftists. That's why the Iranian Revolution happened. And why did it end up being a right-wing theocratic revolution? Well, guess what? Guess who the Shah was worried about targeting? Guess who the right-wing government was obsessed with using the secret police to torture? Take a guess. Who the CIA was focused on defeating? What parties were banned? But who was allowed to run around the country with impunity? So the only place you could criticize the government was if you were in a far-right mosque. But if you were a leftist, your ass was getting disappeared by the US-backed Shah. And when I say leftist, I mean, maybe we should use our oil money to help pay for schools? Now, Iran is a threat. Iran is still a threat. Israel sees Iran's nuclear program as a threat to its existence. If I were Iran, I would see Israel's illegal nukes that violate the National Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty as a threat to my existence. Iran has signed the International Nuclear Proliferation Treaty, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. You know who signed that document? Iran did. You know who hasn't? Israel. Who's the threat? Who's the nuclear threat? So when you see that, when you say US-backed Shah, what I want you to imagine is people like you and me being kidnapped with black hoods over their heads, getting shot, getting tortured, their newspapers broken into and banned, their cameras destroyed, fired from their jobs, languishing in prison, monitored by secret police. That's what you need to imagine. So when you see the phrase US-backed Shah, I want your lip to curl in disgust. Why didn't we do it to Norway? Because they're white, and we were worried about communism because they were bordering the Soviet bloc or nearby the Soviet bloc. And so we had to give concessions in Europe because the working class was pissed off about how shitty their conditions were. So we decided to give concessions to the white working class in Europe to stand up to communism. Because if we didn't, then communism would have won. But you think you're brown and you can keep our oil under your ground? And so one of the most disgusting things about this is, so the United States of America tortured the feminists, the young women who were getting an education, the socialists, the leftists, the Democrats, even the liberals, because they wanted a new deal for the Iranians' own oil, that they would be paid more than 18% of the money of their own oil in their own ground. And the British and Americans, and the most disgusting part is Mossadegh was pro-American. This is the thing that will really make you sick to your stomach when you find this out. Mohammad Mossadegh was a pro-American leader in the world. He went to America and he said, even in Saudi Arabia, you guys are giving them 50% of their profits of their oil. We're getting 18%. We just want the same deal you're giving to Saudi Arabia, the kingdom of Saudi Arabia, us, the flourishing young democracy in Iran. We just want the same deal that you're giving Saudi Arabia. And he trusted the Americans. Why? Because we were considered to be the anti-colonial force. We didn't have an empire. We were not colonial. We were not around trying to run those countries. They saw us as a revolution. They saw the Declaration of Independence and the false promise of all men are created equal. And Mohammad Mossadegh, the stupid fuck, was pro-American. And so they took advantage of him and they tricked him so they could steal the oil. If you're ever wondering why people hate America, why do so many people hate us? Is because the white supremacist, colonial, imperial project that America took up after World War II, when we were seen as the world's liberator, and we tricked all those countries and we stole their resources and we installed right-wing regimes for the profit of our corporations and Europe's corporations so that we could set up extractive relationships with puppet governments. And why is the American state so obsessed with attacking Iran, a country that has never attacked its neighbors? Because it represents one of the few times where there was effective domestic resistance to our disgusting right-wing occupying government that stole a democracy away from a young developing people. They're obsessed with Iran because they beat the CIA. That's the actual truth. You want to see what it looks like when they don't beat the CIA? Go to Central America, where it's run by goddamn drug cartels, and American created gangs are roaming the streets, kidnapping children to work for them. That's what it looks like. That's why we're obsessed with Iran. Iran is no threat whatsoever to America. Saudi Arabia kills more Americans than Iran does, our supposed ally. Pakistan is where Osama bin Laden is, where we give over $1 billion in aid every year to their military and intelligence services. The Taliban was developed by the Pakistan Intelligence Service. ISIS was able to smuggle oil into Turkey, our supposed ally. ISIS was supported by the Gulf states to try to overthrow the Syrian government, the secular Syrian government, which I don't like it. Bashar al-Assad is a piece of garbage. But you understand why that exists now. Why there's so many Islamist governments in the Middle East, because that's what America likes. That's what America supports. We hate democracy. I urge you to show me a place that we have supported democracy since 1946. South Korea is one of the most comical examples of this. People look at South Korea and they go, wow, South Korea, that's now a flourishing capitalist liberal democracy. And that was against the wishes of America. It's a fluke. They lucked out. It was a military dictatorship until the 80s. Raising up against the Iranian regime is not about food, but freedom of speech and rights. The people who rise up know they will be killed, yet they do it for their freedom. So when you say the phrase U.S.-backed Shah, I want you to think about BP Oil Company stealing 84% of the Iranian oil, overthrowing that government in a military coup, putting in the Shah. Look it up, Mohammad Mossadegh. Go and check it out. An author, lawyer, administrator, prominent parliamentarian. His administration introduced a wave of social and political measures such as Social Security, land reforms, higher taxes, including the introduction of taxation of rent on land. His government's most significant policy was the nationalization of the Iranian oil industry, which had been built by the British on Persian land since 1913 through the Anglo-Persian Oil Company, later known as British Petroleum. Many Iranians regard Mossadegh as the leading champion of secular democracy and resistant to foreign domination in Iran's modern history. Following an initial failed coup by the CIA MI6-backed General Fazlullah Zahid, Mossadegh resigned 4 days later on 19 August 1953, with Zahidi succeeding him as prime minister. Mossadegh was imprisoned for 3 years, put under house arrest until his death, and was buried in his own home. In 2013, the U.S. government formally acknowledged the U.S. role in the coup. So this is not a conspiracy, it's admitted. In 1913, Mossadegh received his doctorate and in doing so became the first Iranian to receive a PhD in law from a European university. Engulfed in a variety of problems following World War II, Britain was unable to resolve the issue single-handedly, looked toward the United States to settle the matter. Initially, the USA had opposed British policies. After mediation had failed several times to bring about a settlement, American Secretary of State Dean Acheson concluded the British were destructive and determined on a rule or ruin policy in Iran. This was Harry Truman's Secretary of State. When the Republicans got in there, that's when they decided to be a fascist fucking overthrow. Here's Mossadegh at the Tomb of the Unknowns in Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia. The stupid fool thought America actually believed the bullshit propaganda. What a dumbass. Makes you sick. Makes it sick to your fucking stomach. What was the CIA's stated purpose for staging the coup? Keeping the oil out of Soviet control. Fucking disgusting. Iran has refused to recognize Israel since the Islamic Revolution in 1979 that toppled the US-backed Shah. Israel sees Iran's nuclear program as a threat to its existence. The shipping incidents have occurred since President Joe Biden took office in January, pledging to rejoin Iran's 2015 nuclear containment deal with world powers if Tehran returns to full compliance with the accord. The deal was abandoned by former President Donald Trump in a move welcomed by Israel. America isn't the only bad player in the world. There are many bad players in governments. Most of the bad players in governments were directly created by America. The bad players are in power because America did it. People want to live in freedom. People want to live in prosperity and peace. That's the actual reality. People don't want to live in misery and poor and violence. That's not how it works. But we're willing to impose that on other people to steal their shit. So when I see Iran's biggest warship sinks, knowing what I know, my reaction is that Israel is trying to get us into another war. And they're saying it. They're saying it. Netanyahu spoke about Iran on Tuesday as his rivals in the Knesset huddled to try to form a coalition government that would end Netanyahu's 12-year rule. Developments come amid a fragile truce between Israel and Hamas militant rulers in the Gaza Strip after a brutal 11-day war that killed more than 250 people, most of them Palestinian. Hamas, which opposes Israel's right to exist and is considered a terrorist group by Israel, the U.S., and other Western countries, receives millions of dollars in military aid from Iran each year. Fucking pathetic.
And there.
As an Iranian guy, when I see the Iranian warship sink, I become extremely happy. Why would you be happy that the Iranian people are going to be? Is Iran invading Canada? Is Iran sanctioning America? Yes. America is the aggressor in Iran and has been since 1953. We admitted it. We destroyed the world. People say, well, why is there Sharia law and extremist right-wingers in the Middle East? Because we've smashed every single secular movement in the Arab world, in the Persian world. We have smashed them to put in right-wing dictators to steal their resources. It's that simple. Well, Mike, that was that was the past. Now we need to be a right-wing and aggressive because we were aggressive in the past. We need to continue the aggression because of stability. How about this? Let's not. We do politics here every morning starting at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. You can watch us here on Twitch. We're the morning guy, the morning politics guy, Politics Frogs, in every single day, same time, 10 a.m., day in, day out. And we carry you through your morning and early afternoon politics needs. And if you need more, Mike from PA, we have a YouTube channel. We talked about Suburbs, the My Pillow guy, Ted Cruz. We talked about DSA. Amazing. Making fun of Tim Pool. Amazing. Look at all of these amazing videos. Get in there, watch them. We have me on Twitter. You got to follow me on Twitter, chat. I'm at 20,614 subs. That means I got like 40 followers on Twitter in the last day. You can do better than that. You can do better than that. Go follow us on Twitter. And of course, join the Discord, where we have an incredible community of left-wing streamers. We have left-wing community. We talk about the stream. We talk about politics. There's gaming content. It's a really awesome, supportive place. Direct action, mutual aid, and you can just let off some steam. And also, you can help produce the show. One of the things I do is I look at the links that are put into and use content suggestions chat room on the Discord. Join the Discord, come hang out, and maybe what you want me to talk about will be part of the next show.